Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Trading the Close. My name is Gareth Soloway, Chief Market Strategist here at verifiedinvesting.com. Interesting day today in the stock market. So very, very bearish, if you ask me. We opened higher, sharply higher, after the Bank of Japan basically said they would not hike rates anymore during this crisis period. The markets here in the U.S. opened sharply higher, only to give back all of those gains, and we are now at the lows of the day. Anytime you see late day selling, it's not good. It's telling you that early in the day, buy the dippers came in. And then by late in the day, those institutions are just dumping right into them. So, what does this tell us? Most likely further downside to go. All right, so let's get right into the charts here. If we flip over, we can see the action on the day. You have the Dow down 129 points, make that 133. NASDAQ is weaker. NVIDIA is one of the key weak stocks today. After being up early, it gave back all those gains. SMCI is probably to blame there, as again, margins are getting squeezed. S&P 500 now down 20 points on the day. Oil up nicely, about 3%, and gold down fractionally on the day, with Bitcoin taking a pretty big hit today, retracing a lot of that big bounce from 49,000 back to almost 58, now back to 54.7. Heat map right here. In fact, I want to go to our website here on the homepage. We can see the heat maps better. Here we have the crypto heat map, and you can see, again, generally a sea of red, except for Ripple in there eking out a little bit of a gain. And then over here, we can see generally a mixed bag, a lot of flat. Anything that's gray is basically up or down less than 1%. Up more than 1% or close to is green, and then down deep red is, needless to say, NVIDIA down here, and we can see down about 4%. Eli Lilly's also getting hit today on the back of Novo Nordisk's miss on sales of Wegovy, the weight loss drug. So again, things aren't as rosy for a lot of these big winners over the past 6 months or so. That would be an Eli Lilly, a Novo Nordisk, an NVIDIA. Although at least Apple is bucking the trend. Just a side note here, I just wanted to show you guys this. We added something new to the homepage. By the way, don't forget economic and earnings calendars here on the homepage. And then if we scroll up right here, look at this. We added in the current U.S. debt. This will update daily automatically. So as the debt rises, we will be able to track it. All of you guys, this is all free. We call it the data center here at verifiedinvesting.com. We're going to keep adding more and more useful things to it, so you guys make sure to be fully informed on everything that, as a trader, I find unbelievably important for myself. Therefore, I would assume most of you would find important as well. All right, flipping into the actual chart aspect of the trading the close, let's take a look here. This is the S&P 500. I wanted to show you guys this. This is, again, what I was talking about. These are the last 3 days. Notice early upside and then second half down. Early upside, late in the day we came down, and then look at today. It didn't even wait. Basically, we got 30 minutes on the 10-minute chart to the upside, and then straight down. And look at the markets on the S&P. Lows of the day here, now down about 28 points or so. So a pretty nasty fall here, continuing into the end of the day. And again, I just want to be clear on this. People have been programmed by the Federal Reserve, by the markets over the last 10 plus years, really since the Great Recession lows in 09, to buy the dip. Right? Every time people buy the dip, it works, especially over the last couple of years. And here you get buy the dippers, and then it fades. Buy the dippers fade, and this is not good price action. So if we flip over to the chart, look at the NASDAQ, by the way, just getting crushed into the end of the day. This is the 10-minute NASDAQ chart. But if we go to the daily chart on this, you can see, again, we had the bounce off the technical level, but look at how weak of a bounce this is. Like, you got basically this reversal day on Monday, a small up day on Tuesday, and now you've erased all of Tuesday's gains with this down day on Wednesday, and we are basically back inside of this big down candle. Even though it's green, it was because we opened down here and rallied up. Now, there is still a lot of support down here, so I do want to make that clear. If we zoom out on the chart, we can see this upsloping trend line right here on the QQQ. That's what we bounced off of, kind of the high end of that. We actually didn't touch this line. That's kind of what I think we're going to do. I think we're going to come down, touch that line, then get a bounce. But I want to be clear, folks, if we just remove these lines and we go to a bigger time frame, ultimately this chart says we are going a lot lower. It's just a matter of when. And what I mean by that here, folks, is looking at this wider channel. Notice every time you hit the low end, you get a monster rally to the upside. But every time we hit the high end of the channel, it comes all the way down. So yes, we're going to get bounces along the way here, but you have to assume eventually we're headed back here on the NASDAQ 100. And that's kind of scary. That's a big drop. if we do a calculation real quickly on how big of a drop that would be from the all-time highs, if we do go back to that, you're talking about the NASDAQ dropping about 36% from the all-time highs. Now, listen, I want to be clear. I'm a swing trader, right? So I'm going to be in and out, long and short, 100 times in this move at key levels. But I do think that the trend has now definitely changed based on what we're seeing in the charts, the data coming out. Let's not forget the data out there as well is certainly being very apparent that it is weakening sharply. In fact, Disney earnings, we can bring up Disney's chart here. Disney was down today. And the key on Disney, right, is that they actually beat on earnings and revenue. So most people would be like, oh, wow, this, the stock should be up nicely, right? I mean, it beat on revenue and earnings, top and bottom line. Problem is, they said that the consumer was starting to stay away from their parks because we know their parks cost a boatload, right? For a family of four, I don't even want to guess what it costs these days. And that's telling you the consumer is strapped. And this is a theme that I've been touching on now since the beginning of the year, that the consumer is struggling more and more. And now we finally are seeing the jobs market reflecting that data as well, with layoffs and a rising unemployment number. All right, where is Disney likely headed? I have this key level around $83. There's a gap fill here. As always, you want to find the dual levels. So not just one level, but you want to find a secondary factor here. And to do that, what do we get right here? All right, we get basically a trend line going back to the 2009 lows. If we take the low from 2009 and we stretch it right through this low here in 2020, early 20 or late 2023, that coincides with that 83 level. So for me as a swing trade, and I want to be clear on this, just as a swing trade, the level here is around 83 for a bounce on Disney. All right, Robinhood announcing earnings after the bell here. Let's flip over to them. You are seeing a small bounce in Robinhood after hours here. Not a huge one by any stretch, but nonetheless, the stock initially is trading up on earnings. We'll check out a few of these other stocks that are coming out with earnings as well. SMCI was a big decliner today, closing at 90, just under 93. What's so cool about this, guys, is that if you watched Trading the Close yesterday, I put this line in right here, and I put this line. And I said, if SMCI goes up to this line around 715, you short it. And if it comes down here, it would be a buy. Now, that was for an immediate reaction, so I'm not looking to buy it down here as a swing trade. My swing trade level is all the way down here. But what's so cool about this is if we go to the chart, look at this, guys. And if you watched yesterday, we talked about this. Look at where SMCI ripped up to, and then look at the reversal and look at where it ended. It literally touched both those lines in a 24-hour span that I gave you guys in yesterday's Trading the Close. That's technical analysis right there, folks. All right, looking at NVIDIA, look at this, guys. We got a big bounce off this major technical support. Again, if we come down again, it's very likely we will go lower on NVIDIA. So watch this level. If this 90 to 91 level breaks, you're likely headed down probably in the mid 70s, $75, $77 range could be your next technical level. So just stay alert that, again, right now, nasty day on NVIDIA, down over 5%. And that's, again, remember, the Bank of Japan came out and kind of gave everyone a sigh of relief. And sure enough, what are we seeing here? We're seeing this fall continuing, even in spite of what's going on there with the Nikkei bouncing. All right, some other stocks that are reporting earnings after the bell. AppLovin, APP. Let's take a look. If we go to the 10-minute chart, doesn't look like this is out just yet. I have a 4:05 release, so 5 minutes after 4 o'clock, and we're only at about 4 after. So we'll keep an eye on that. Some smaller companies that are fun to watch, APPS. I'm not seeing anything on that as earnings are due for 4:05. Duolingo here is reporting that should be out. Looks like it initially fell a little bit and bouncing back. Fastly, FSLY, highly shorted stock. Whoa, look at this drop. Percentage-wise, this is a massive, massive drop down to about $5.50 after closing at almost $6.85. Look at this drop here. Now, what's a level on this one? This is crazy because you have to really go back a long way on the chart here to find levels down here. In fact, to be honest, guys, I have no data down here. This is new all-time lows on Fastly. So in that situation, unless you can find a down-sloping trend line, you have to just stay away from it. It's basically what we call in uncharted territory. You just have to, again, stay away from it at that point. All right. So, yeah, that's a pretty nasty dump there. Looks like Bumble BMBL reported earnings here. That's at 4:05, but we are just hitting 4:05 now. Let's take a look, see if anything's going on there on the 10-minute chart. Yep, looks like a little fall on that. Nothing earth-shattering here. And then APP, Looks like the report may have just came out, a small uptick on that chart. Really, Robinhood is the one that most people would recognize the name of. And again, if we go to HOOD, that's the symbol on that one. Let's take a look here. Turned around. So early gains, and now it's coming back in. By the way, this is happening more and more. I want to stress this, guys. This is happening more and more where investors are initially rewarding a stock because the top and bottom line numbers do well. And then you know what happens? The company has weak guidance. And that's the second number to come out. And certainly we are seeing Robinhood kind of back to the flat line, even slightly negative on that note. Wow. Solar Edge reporting SEDG. That looks like it's down as well. Oof, man, I tell you, there's so few companies really having big moves on earnings. Here's another one to the downside, Solar Edge. And this stock, again, let's go back here, basically trading at 52-week, even potentially all-time or close to all-time lows. In terms of technical support, wow. I mean, there'll be a little support at, man, I don't even know down here. I'd have to look closer at this, guys. You're having to go back so far in the chart that it makes it very tricky. We can flip to the bigger time frame, the weekly here, and take a look. I mean, 14, I don't know. 14, I probably would not touch this until 14. Now, listen, it's way above that at this point. In fact, it's bouncing back a little bit now, but still, just be real careful with these guys. There's a combination of short squeezes going on and just stocks getting crushed, right? So another example, we just looked at the FSLY. If we look at APP, this one's actually one that is going up on earnings. Decent little gain here, not quite 10%, but AppLovin, again, finally seeing a response. But the question I have is, does this do what every other company does and fade and go negative tomorrow? We'll have to watch and see. Man, oh man, wild stuff, guys. All right, so listen, when all's said and done, markets struggled today. There's no doubt about it that markets really did struggle today. Watch the Nikkei tonight. That's what I'm going to be focused on when the Nikkei opens. Keep an eye on the US dollar, the 10-year yield. Obviously, keep an eye on all the other factors like earnings, NVIDIA, tonight and into tomorrow's early morning session starting at 4 a.m. That'll be kind of a telling of where the market could go. But I will say this, is that the way this market is acting, if it doesn't get some good news out there soon on the economy, we are going a lot lower. Oh, man, I got to show you this, guys. Look at AppLovin. So remember, this was just up, and I just hypothesized, would it go negative? And look, man, I tell you, brutal. Brutal. All right, so just be careful in this market, guys. This is a swing trader, day trader market, not, in my opinion, a market where you're accumulating yet, especially prior to what I see as a recession. Let me quickly go here. I know I always do Bitcoin, so I know everyone will be upset if I don't do Bitcoin here. By the way, I've got COVID, just a heads up on that. Must have caught it at the gym or something the other day. But I'm doing all right. Got some medicine in me that's keeping me, some Dayquil, keeping me alert enough to do this and keep my eyes on the markets for all of you. But in any case, if we look at Bitcoin daily chart, it was up earlier, came back in. Resistance remains at 60,000, support at 49,000. All right. But again, I would say that in general, this is a weak chart now, that it's below this level. This was your pivot line. If you recall, your pivot line was really around 63,000, then secondary resistance here. So that, again, is a weak chart. Gold today down a little bit on the day, not much going on there. Silver today down a little bit as well. Oil had a big bounce. Again, I think the Nikkei, the action in the Nikkei probably stabilized things, as if the Bank of Japan didn't make the concession that they did, we would have seen a lot more downside in the economy, and that's now been stalled. At least the hope is. But I do not expect, I repeat, I do not expect oil to hold up. I do think eventually it rips to the downside again and goes honestly into the 60s soon, and eventually into next year, probably around $50 a barrel. Lastly, natural gas, guys, congratulations if you're a smart money stocks and ETF holder. We had Boyle. We took an 11 and change percent gain on Boyle today. Boyle is a double ETF long natural gas. You guys know that I've been a big proponent of natural gas down in this range, 786 Fibonacci, and look at that move. Again, look for continued upside overall as long as the 786 doesn't break. If the 786 breaks, then get the heck out of the way. But as long as you're above this level here, you likely could trade up at minimum to this prior pivot point right here on the charts. All right, guys, I got to get going here. I got to pay attention to what's going on in the after hours action. You guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.